What is up, world? Welcome back to another episode of Beat the Maze. It's EMB.
And it's your girl, Jaysha.
And we are bringing another special guest to y'all this week. Y'all know how we do. This week, we have Autumn Naomi of the Autumn Naomi brand. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited.
For coming on. Welcome to Beat the Maze.
Of course.
Something we like to do every episode is we like to kind of go around the table, kind of roundhouse style, and just talk about our week and how we were doing. So, I'll start with you.
My week has been going really good. I got some rest, and I think that's really important. I was just able to rest and not focus too much on all the things that have coming up, all the things that I've been going through, but really just resting. It was a little stressful in the beginning of the week, but we made it through. And now I'm just happy to be here and happy to be back on the pod. How are you doing this morning? How's your week?
Well, my week has been well. This morning has been a little slow. Like, I always joke with him because he wakes up and he's like he's on 10 from the time he woke up.
Yes, I am too. I get it.
Yeah,
I'm like, whoa.
Like, relax.
You want to hum and sing, but my week has been really well. It's been very calm leading up to the storm. Like, next week is homecoming.
Yeah.
So next week is gonna be a lot. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot. So, and then the week after that we move. So I'm so excited to move. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
But it's been really good. It's been really good. I have no complaints so far at all. And yourself?
Good. This week has been trying for me, guys. This has been, life is just life, and you have to be able to just move through it. But I just started a new show with Hulu. As I mentioned, I'm in the process of moving. I just launched a new program. So there's a lot happening in my life right now, and just balancing it all as best I can, but also not overcommitting myself, so learning how to say no to things and hey, my brain only has the capacity to deal with this right now. So it's been a trying week for me, right? Honestly, I'm not about to sit here and be like, yeah, guys, it was fantastic. I'm grateful. God is good. We made it to Sunday, right? But it's definitely been a trying week. So we here, we on the pod. We're gonna talk about all the good juiciness. So I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. Gratitude always comes from me. Is the first thing that comes from me because
I love that.
Life is gonna happen regardless, but God is so good. Think about our situations, right? There's somebody who doesn't have a home and we do. There's somebody who doesn't have food and we do. So yeah, it's been trying, but we're here and I'm grateful.
I'm so glad to have you. So let's jump right into it. You talked about working on a show on Hulu. So can you just tell the people a little bit more about what you do and how you got into doing what you do?
And who you are.
And who you are. That's that's the most important part.
So my name is Autumn Naomi, and I am the founder and lead stylist of the Autumn Naomi brand. We are a fashion styling brand based in Atlanta, Georgia, and we serve entertainers, entrepreneurs, and executives. We've been successfully doing that. I've been styling for 4 years, but launched my own brand 2 years ago. And I have an amazing team. God has just, blessed me with the opportunity to be an amazing creative, but also an amazing professional businesswoman. So on one aspect, I'm a fashion stylist. I also serve as a TV film shopper. So I've worked on projects with P Valley. I've worked on as a PA. I've worked on projects with Marvel. My most recent project is Hulu. I've worked with HBO Max, and pretty much my role as a TV film costume buyer is to bring my costume designer's vision to life. So literally, my job is to shop all day, every day.
Yeah, I would love it.
I mean, I do love it. It's challenging though. I think from the outside looking in, it's just like, oh, you get to swipe your card all day, but it's not really as easy as people might think it is, right? Because you're looking for specifics, right? You're also, a lot of my job is based on things I can't control. So if they don't have the size, right? I can't control how much traffic. I can't control how many people are in line in front of me. And working in the production industry is very demanding, right? So things are we need it today. So I think over my years, I've just been able to problem solve. And I also am a really great communicator because if my leaders are looking for something specific, but it's not available locally and I can't get it overnight, then hey, we got to pivot. So I'm a natural problem solver. And in the production industry, that's definitely a skill set that you want to have. Um, but yeah, in a nutshell, I am the owner, leader, founder of an amazing fashion styling brand that God is about to explode. I believe that with my heart. And then I also serve as a TV film shopper. So that's what I do.
So let's start from the beginning. How did we get here? How did we get to this love for fashion and knowing
Ooh.
you wanted to work in the fashion space?
Yes. So I grew up, I'm a PK. My grandmother is a pastor. So I grew up in an environment where I saw very powerful women in front of me. Like my grandmother, in the pulpit, my mom was, an executive in corporate. So I grew up around women who were very poised, and they carried themselves in a certain manner.
Mm.
So my image was made important to me at a very young age, right? Like you sitting on the second row of church, like, Sunday's best, like it was a thing. Um, and I think that being poured into me has just changed the trajectory of my life. And what really inspired me was my mom. So my mom doesn't work in the fashion industry whatsoever. My mom has worked in corporate as well as the entertainment industry. Um, but my mom has a high school diploma and was able to attain a role that exceeded six figures, right? And the way that I believe she did that is the way that she showed up every day. So she worked for an organization as a customer service representative on like a call sales floor, right? But she always showed up as the regional director that she wanted to once become, right? Because I believe that before I see you, I see you. Like when before you can open your mouth, you can be the most important person in the world. You can be the most intelligent person, but I see you and what you are wearing, and I judge you automatically just as a natural person, right? Before you can really explain who you are. So seeing her just go after her dreams and just the things that she's implanted in me and my siblings is like there's nothing that you can tell us we can't do, by God's grace, by
What are
our
some of
faith.
those what are some of those things that she implanted in you for the audience?
Yeah. So every day before me and my brother would go to school, she would always say, "You are the head and not the tail. You are above and not beneath. You are a leader and not a follower, and you can do all things through Christ." So things like that, you're implanted in that as a child. As an adult, you really can't tell me I can't, do anything. So just greatness. Like my mom has implanted greatness and excellence into me and my siblings. So that's where it started. Um, and then, you know, I and like in high school, that's when things started to really like kind of come together for me. I believe that fashion is an avenue for me. Like I love God's people. Like I know that I'm on a mission. I know that I'm on assignment, and God is using fashion as a way for me to reach them. But while I was in high school, people started to compliment my outfits and da da da. Da. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna make this a business. And so I started doing that my senior year, and then I moved to Atlanta immediately, like almost immediately after I graduated and hit the ground running, like immediately.
Oh,
Like
you
within
wasn't
two,
trying
three
to get
weeks, I was
Charlotte at
on.
all.
I, but the thing is, I was ready to leave Charlotte, right? But I'm such a strategic businesswoman that I had a plan in place before I moved to Atlanta. So I was emailing stylists, emailing designers, like, hey, I'm on the way. I admire your work and I would love the opportunity. And so that along with my school, the Art Institute of Atlanta, the combination of that it just took off from there. And once you are in the industry, quote unquote, and we use quotations because it's a whole thing, um, your reputation will go before you and referrals will, they'll work for you. So how I started was mom inspired me, and then, things just I think it was God's plan, if you want me to be honest. Like, yes, I did the work, but I believe that God already had it planned for me.
For
Yeah.
sure. Let's talk a little bit about mentorship. So you said you were emailing stylists and you were reaching out to
Mhm.
people, and you were fortunate enough to get with two big people in the industry at some point early in your career, Renee Brown, excuse me, and Rita
Yeah.
McGee. Can you talk about
Mhm.
that experience having such powerful women
They're
mentor you
amazing.
and pour into you?
Oh, they're so amazing. That brings my heart so much joy. So, Renee Brown was my first. I can't even say if I have a first mentor because I have so many. Mentorship and leadership is so important. But Renee is one of my amazing mentors. And I met her probably about, I want to say 6 months or so after I had moved to Atlanta through another mentor of mine, Cleo. And I basically was explaining to Cleo, like, hey, I really need an internship. Like, I really need to learn the ropes of how to do this thing. And she's like, I know Renee, she's a really dope stylist. She does a lot of commercials. And being the professional businesswoman that I'm like, here's my resume. Like, but in this industry, it's very different. So basically how me and Renee got connected was they were on a job for Great Wolf Lodge and they needed an additional wardrobe assistant. So through referrals, right? Renee got my number and we get on the phone. She's like, "Hey, I got your number from so and so. Are you available?" And I start trying to spare out. I'm a student at the like trying to do the most. She's like, "Can you meet me at Target?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm on my way." So I drive to Target, and I just literally hop right in. Like I hop right in as an intern slash wardrobe assistant, and that was my first paid gig as a wardrobe assistant. Like, you know, it was a lot for me to it was like a dream come true, Like it was just like a dream come true.
Wow.
Just being there and like seeing, okay, this is what you do. And she showed me like her studio. It was so amazing. So Renee is amazing. She took me under her wing for I want to say about 6+ months. And then while I was interning with her, I had the opportunity to work with Shaq and on commercials for Home Depot and Planet Fitness and just a lot of really dope advertising clients. And at some point, I was just like, hey, interning is great, but I need money. Like, I was just honest,
Got to be
like
honest about it.
I
Yeah.
just was honest. I'm like, look, like I love this, and it's not that. Let me make sure that I'm clear. She made sure that I was taken care of. She made sure I had, I had gas in my car. She made sure I ate, But as an intern, the exchange is me volunteering my time for the experience, for the knowledge, right? So I knew what I was getting myself into. However, at some point, I did need to say, hey, like I think I'm learning the ropes. I need to, have some type of consistent income. And so she was kind enough to reach out to Rita, right? Her and Rita are good friends, and say, hey, I have a really dope assistant. She needs a job. So that's how I got the job on P Valley through Renee. Like that's how it just all connected. And so I was able to serve on P Valley season 1 as a costume PA. And from there, the jobs just like, they just kept coming and they just kept spiraling. So yeah, they're amazing mentors. I still, even with 4 years, of experience, and to me, that's not much. I'm still learning as a woman every single day. I still call them to this day. I still call them saying, "Hey, I need help with X, Y, and Z." Like, I'll never get too big. I'll always be humble, and they're just such a great asset to my journey. So, yeah.
So something you keep mentioning is like how the industry is so different. Are you referring to like the commercial industry or are you referring to fashion or both? I would say?
Both. I feel like a lot of people, we're universally just as a society familiar with corporate, right? Like people are like, I work a 9 to 5 or I'm a business professional, right? And in the production industry, they don't really value like you showing them your resume, like per se. They don't really, it's more of a who you know and your word, like your name goes before you, right? Like your reputation goes before you. And if you make one mistake, right? It's similar to high school if you ask me, at high school and college, because everybody knows everybody. So it's almost like, say for example, you guys were a styling agency and you guys needed an intern, right? You would take my word because I'm like, yeah, I have a really dope assistant. You wouldn't even really ask me a ton of questions. It's
It's just
just
like,
like, we
oh,
trust
Autumn
you.
said she's good.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So it's just different, and it's also different where everybody doesn't want to see you win, like respectfully. I've learned that on my journey, and some people want you to be good, but not better than them. So you
Yeah.
have to use discernment. For me, I just move differently because I know that I'm a part of the kingdom of God. And my integrity, goes before me. My character goes before me. There are some non negotiables that I'm just simply not doing, and people, they know, don't call Autumn because she ain't doing that. Like, don't call Autumn because she has a certain standard. So I've set that expectation for myself in the industry, and I'm respected for that. So,
So
yeah.
explain to us, for someone who's wanting to kind of break into the industry and start their
Hmm.
own path, what should, because you said like the resume is not the thing, you need to be knowing people, you need to be
Hmm.
networking. How do they
Yes.
in that journey? Where do they go? How do they put themselves in those places to start their
Network.
business?
Right. So I would say that interning is always the way to start, like not just jumping in, but of course, people are like, how do I find those people? Right. And you mentioned networking. I use social media as a business tool. So I always recommend, if there's someone that you admire via Instagram, via LinkedIn, reach out to them. I think that a lot of people, they hinder themselves and they discredit themselves because they feel like, I don't have any experience, right? And a lot of people are looking for relevant experience. But if I don't have it and you won't give it to me, then how is this going to work, right? I get that. You have to network. You have to put yourself out there. I didn't have experience as a stylist prior to me coming to Atlanta, right? But I did have strategy. I'm like, okay, I know that styling is visual. And not only do I need to look a certain way so that people trust me, but I need to be able to present some type of portfolio. So I started to do test shoots, right, with other creatives and collaborating with them on pro bono projects so that I could show my eye, like I am incredible at this, right? So I would recommend test shooting, right, with other creatives. So that's where you're collaborating with a model, a photographer, a makeup artist, a hairstylist for the betterment of your portfolio, right? For you guys to be able to produce this work and say, hey, this is what I'm able to do to someone, right? I know that I'm a creative and that my career specifically is visual. So I would recommend that. I would also recommend shooting your shot. Like, I think that it's simple. Like, shoot your shot. Again, people discredit themselves. They don't feel like they're worthy enough to reach out. And I know what it's done for me, right? So I was emailing, I DM. Now, of course, Instagram is again a business tool. So DMing is appropriate, right? DM, hey, I love your work. I would love the opportunity to work with you. You know, and then also following up. I think a lot of people, they slip because they send the initial, but they don't follow up. And it's not that people are ignoring you, right? But we're busy. I can tell you from what I do, I'm on my feet 10 to 12 hours a day. I don't have an administrative job. So my phone is my computer until I can sit down, and handle those administrative tasks. Also, with me having a team, I have someone to be able to handle that for me, and I have things that are automated. So I would say definitely networking. I use Eventbrite as a really good tool when I first started. Um, when I first started, like in the industry and just networking, Eventbrite is a great tool.
Just to find
Atlanta
events and
Fashion,
stuff.
yeah, for sure. And again, social media, hashtag it away. Like, you just got to do your research. You got to do the part. I can give you all of the tools, but if you don't do the work, if you don't implement the strategies, you're going to be stagnant. So that's what I would recommend.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
You're
So
welcome.
now that you're in this space where you're now starting, this is your career.
Yeah,
You're just interning. You're no longer figuring out like this
hmm
is what you're doing. This is
it is.
what you want to do. Where do you see kind of this going for you? Do you only want to stay in the production space, or are you like into the designing space as well? Because you did say you went to SCAD, so I know those are some of those different fundamentals you have to learn.
Mm-hmm. So I actually went to the Art Institute of Atlanta.
Sorry.
And it's okay. It's okay. I study fashion marketing and management. And for me, my end goal is fashion editor. So styling is a great tool. Styling is a great networking tool. Styling allows me to learn, continue to enhance my skill sets and silhouettes and body types and textiles. Like it's great, right? But it's not the end goal for me. So my goal right now is to make the Autumn Naomi brand the go-to fashion styling brand in Atlanta and beyond. So we want to dominate Atlanta and then expand to other cities, right? Where, people are saying like New York and LA and Texas, but wherever God leads me, that's where I'm going to go. So as of right now, we're going to dominate Atlanta and then we'll expand beyond. But my goal personally is fashion editor. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with Anna Wintour, but I'm the Anna Wintour of my generation. Like I am the fashion executive. I'm going to be calling the shots gracefully. And I just see myself as a leader in fashion. I see myself as just this inspiring African American woman who can show other people that your dreams can come true. You don't have to be in a space of working a 9 to 5, Ubering and lifting your way to your rent. Like you can do what you put your mind to. So I want to be that figure for people, but also fashion editor. So as a fashion editor, some of the magazines that I enjoy are In Style and Essence and Harper's Bazaar. And pretty much my role is to lead the magazine. So all of the campaigns, like all of the decisions as it pertains to anything in the fashion department for the magazine, I will be responsible for that. And I will be leading a team to bring those visions to life.
One thing I appreciate is that you speak in definites. Everything that you said when you spoke about yourself was I am, I will, I do. It's not a I might or I'm thinking of or
I want to.
It's definite. Where did you learn that skill? Because that's not something that people innately have. Like I had to learn to speak in definite on my
Yeah, I don't know where the skill came from, honestly. I think again it goes back to Mom Dukes and grandma and just the people that I've been around. Like my brother is incredibly inspiring and being able to see them achieve their goals, like I've put myself in that space mentally because it's a mind thing first. Before you can attain it tangibly, you have to believe it, right? And as a believer, I know that faith without works is dead. I also know that I walk by faith and not by sight. So if I'm looking at where I am right now as a fashion stylist, but I know my goals are much higher, I'm not walking by what I believe in, right? And I'm confident, but my confidence comes from God. And a lot of times I'm gonna just be real, y'all, uncut. People can be intimidated by my confidence because they take it as arrogance. And I'm like, nah, we gotta work on that mindset.
Yeah.
Because you can do it too, and I don't walk around flashing the things that God has done for me, but I do use it as a testimony and a testament that you can do it too. So I think it's a mixture of my faith because my faith is radical. It's out of this world, right? And again, grandma planted that in me, mom planted that in me, but I made the decision to pursue my relationship with God, right? And I knew that when I came to Atlanta specifically, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do this by myself, homie. So you're gonna have to get in the car with me, For real, I make it very practical for me. I think that sometimes people see God, as this really big figure, and it's like they're confused because Christianity has been misconstrued in society. But it really is just a relationship, right? It's a relationship, just how you and I would have a friendship. It's a relationship. So I talk to him like he's my homie. Like, look, bruh, what we doing here? Because I don't always have super joyful days. 90% of the time I am, but I do have bad days too. I'm human.
Yeah.
And I'm authentic, So I think that my faith is just incredibly radical and that being around very encouraging people has allowed me to say I am these things and I will become, what I put my mind to.
That's a perfect segue, actually. I'm so glad you touched on that. Because I wanted to ask you more about moving to Atlanta from Charlotte. I know so many people in our generation, they're like, I want to leave home. I want to jump out the nest and fly. And, you've been very fortunate, I've seen through your social media, to have people around you that you can really kind of lean on and depend on. So can you just talk a little bit more about that community building aspect?
Ooh, oh my goodness. Community is so important. Community is a huge core value in my life, personally and professionally. Um, and I actually learned it from another mentor of mine, Ebony Westwood. She's an amazing friend, amazing woman, amazing mother. Um, but community, like nothing can happen without community, right? Like nothing, guys. Like, and I'm gonna reference, my faith again. I always remind myself that God had 12 homies, right? And I'm referring to his disciples. God had 12 homies. So if he had 12, right? Not to say that some of them didn't, act a little shady or do a little 1-2 on him, but if the creator of the universe had community, why do we feel like we don't need to, right? And at one point in my journey, I was superwoman, right? I was like, I can do it all by myself because I did see my mother growing up doing things, right? Her and my father, they just didn't work out. So I saw her being a single mom, like she was just pushing through, right? And I think that did two things for me. It allowed me to see I don't want to have to do that, right? But also I have the ability to if I need to, right? So when I came to Atlanta, of course, as I mentioned, I was like emailing and like doing my whole 1-2 and the administrative part of me.
Right.
But then I just started networking like crazy. Like, especially in school too. It's like I'm here not only to acquire my degree, but I'm also here to meet people. I'm also here to connect with people. And my heart is for people. Like my heart isn't just for fashion. My heart is for people. So naturally, I want to help. It doesn't matter what it is. Naturally, I just want to help people. Um, so I would just say, like, through my networking and just, being the bold person that I am, I'm bold, y'all. Like, when I walk into a room, you
I
gonna
can
know
tell.
I'm
We can
there.
tell.
And it's not overpowering to where it's like, oh, Lord, here come Autumn. Like, it's just like, it's a respect thing. It's like, again, I know who I am, and I know who I am because I'm a child of God, right? So just networking like crazy, going to all of the events, putting myself in the spaces, positioning myself for success. Like that's what I was doing, and when I was there, I wasn't afraid to open my mouth, right? I wasn't afraid. A lot of small business owners, again, discredit ourselves. I've been there too. Discredit ourselves because we like, I don't got no experience. Like I got this business card, but I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, And so for me, it was just like, I think about the large companies that I love, like Valentino, Kurt Geiger, Neiman Sachs, right? Somebody had to go tell people about them for them to get to where they are. Somebody was out in the streets. The evangelist was out in the streets, like, look, Neiman Marcus is on the way. You feel me? So it's like I'm a walking billboard for myself until I have a team of 100 plus doing it for me. So what am I supposed to do? Be a mouse? Like, no, you have to go and tell the people about what you do. So that's what I was doing. I was just like, hey, my name is Autumn. Like, this is what I do, even though I didn't have the accolades that I do now, right? So I think community comes for me a combination of networking, a combination of people who can fight with you, because life is gonna hit you, right? Obstacles are gonna come. And I think for me, it's not fake it until you make it, it's face it until you make it, because my community has helped me up in times where it's like what is happening to me right now. You know, I'm grateful to have a community that not only will go to bat with me professionally, but in my personal life, they like, what's up, the enemy? Like, what's up? Because to whom much is given, much is required, right? So he at my door every day. He is knocking. I'm like, look, sir, I just woke up, right? Like, but that's just what I know. That's just what I know, you know, my assignment is. I know that I'm called to lead people in some aspect, right? I'm not God, but I do know that I'm called to lead. So community is huge, y'all. Like nothing can happen without, you know, whether it be a partner romantically, whether it be a platonic, really strong, you know, friendship, nothing can happen, right? Storms are gonna come. They gonna come, but they won't prosper. Like the weapons gonna come, but they won't prosper. Not over here. I don't know about anybody else, but not over here. So I say all that to say, networking got me there. Opening my mouth got me there. And now I just have a community that it don't matter what go on. Like they 10 toes down.
Yeah. And just to dig a little bit more into that, because I know some people are like, I've talked to people and they're like, you know, I'm looking for friends, but I don't really know what I want in a friend, or like they have a specific idea of friendship that everybody might not embody. So when you were building up your friends list, your people, what were you looking for in them, or like what attracted you to them?
I think for me, naturally, I'm attracted to authentic people. Like I'm attracted to people that look a certain, well, let me not say this, not look a certain way as it pertains to fashion, but yes, as a fashion stylist, if you look nice, I want to talk to you, right? It's like, oh, where did you get this shirt? Oh, I really like this, just naturally. But I I love being around genuine, authentic people, like people who will get down in the dirt with you and be like, look, I know you're going through this, but we gonna push through it. So I think the things that I was looking for were people who, number one, wanted to have a conversation, you know, and weren't like, girl, who are you? You know? That's a good question. That's a good thing to think about. I really think that I'm just attracted to authentic, um, genuine people. Like I cherish friendship so much, but I can't say that I can pinpoint like exactly what I was looking for, because I think I was just being myself. And then if we merge, if we connect, if it's natural, like I will say, I'm not a part of any friendships that are forced. And for me, in all of my relationships, they have to be mutually beneficial. Like I know that I am a resourceful person, right? But I'm also seeking friends who are resourceful. I don't want to be the only one who knows everything. Like that's exhausting. And I've been there before. Like I've been in a place where I'm the only one that knows. I'm like, what are we doing here,
I'm
guys?
ready for the
Right?
table, yeah.
Right. You know, what are you bringing to the table again? Right. So I think something that is important for me was, you know, that I value is something that's mutually beneficial. And that doesn't mean, because I think in the entertainment industry, people can just like, it's like, what can you do for me? What can you know, it's like, let me scratch your back, I'll scratch your back. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for mutually beneficial, like not who you can connect me with, right? Because again, God has already gone before me. So if I'm meant to be at Vogue, it's gonna happen, right? But it may happen through community, right? It may happen because there may be someone who knows someone at Vogue and says, you know what, I know this really dope girl who wants to be an editor. Like that's how things will flow. But again, people speak for you. When you love people and you're genuine and authentic and you do what God calls you to do, things fall into place. I don't have to force anything, right? So I think something to note is just that mutually beneficial friendships and relationships. Like I don't want to be leaning to the wayside because I'm always trying to, you know, help you. Like, what about when I'm falling? So, yeah.
I definitely, I want to kind of backtrack to what you're saying about community. And I wholeheartedly believe, and I tell him very often, I'm like, we were put in this world to build community. We were not put in this world to live alone, to do things alone. We are here. There's a whole reason that networking goes before any resume. And then
Yeah.
so like I heard a quote, and I heard a saying, I can't really fully quote it, but it was essentially like, if you are the most resourceful, or for lack of better words, the biggest person in your friend group, then you need to find a better friend group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't be the only shot caller in your friend group and everybody else
Right.
you. So I definitely agree. That's why I had that reaction, because it was like, yeah, you have to be in a room of people. And the thing is the challenge is being comfortable with being uncomfortable and allowing yourself to grow. Like if I walk into a room with people, I have to be humble and willing enough to say, I don't know everything. I need help. I need you to teach me what you know, and vice versa, and like provide value that way. I feel like relationships in general, they are a very beautiful thing where you can connect with people on a different level. You can understand them, they understand you, where you can learn something. If you can teach something, they will remember you forever.
Yeah.
They will never forget that moment.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So let's talk about the Unstuck Stylist program. What is this program? What are you offering with it? What brought you here?
Yes. So we launched 2 weeks ago, the Unstuck Stylist. And the Unstuck Stylist is something that was planted in my heart a few years ago. However, God was like, we're going to develop some things in you before you really do it. So for me, what the Unstuck Stylist is it's a 4-week mentorship program for new and rising stylists to gain clarity, confidence, and community. And the reason why I created it is because people think it's so unattainable to get into the entertainment industry, to get into the production industry. And I know that a part of my calling is to disrupt the industry, right? I know that I'm the one that's going to shake the feathers, and people are going to be like, yo, what are you doing? Like, why are you trying to let out the secrets? And it's like, well, first of all, this all belongs to God anyway. So I'm just giving the information that's already readily available, you know? And so through this program, I am teaching new and rising stylists how to get unstuck, right? Because a lot of stylists are like, okay, I don't know where to start. There's no school for styling, guys. Like, if you ask me, it truly is a gift. Either you know how to do it or you don't. And like, that's just what it is, you know? And I tell them authentically, I'm like, I cannot teach you how to style. That is something that literally God has to download into your eyes, into your creativeness, and you just do it that way, right? But what I can teach you also is how to structure a business. Like I can teach you how to organize your business. I can teach you how to build a foundation and to market and brand your business, right? So this program is near and dear to my heart. I currently have 6 mentees, and enrollment is closed because
congratulations.
thank you. I'm so grateful, y'all. Like I just have so much joy, right? Because like I know that I serve a God who is just like, yeah, you can do it. But when it happens, it's just like, wow, So I'm so incredibly grateful. I'm looking forward to supporting them on their journey. And of course it is a 4-week course. However, I tell them all the time, we're indebted for life. Like, this is you grandfathered in. So my goal is to help them get clarity on what kind of styling they want to do, because there are a lot of avenues. As I mentioned, I'm a fashion stylist. However, there are production styling, editorial styling, personal styling, wardrobes. Like we could go on and on about the different avenues. So making sure that they can get clear there. And getting clear on who they serve, because everything is in your business is surrounded around who your ideal target market is, right? And if you're marketing to the masses because you don't have clarity, your business will not grow. So getting them clear on who they serve, right? And then also, what is your why? Like I know for me, on the days where I don't feel like going to the mall and I don't feel like going to a fitting, there's something that fuels me, and I'm going to share it with you guys, but there's something that fuels me, and it has to be more than money. Like the money can't drive. You have to be passionate about this. So trying to get them to understand, what is your why? Like what, not only who or what inspired you, but why do you want to do this? Because that is going to make you go even harder on the days where you're just like, whatever. So since we're on that topic, do you guys mind if I share my why?
Yeah.
Please share your why.
Okay. So it's actually on my computer and it's all bent up. You know, we need to get a new one. But I put it on my computer because I'm on my computer often. And it says, through my business, I desire a lifestyle that glorifies God, is full of all things luxurious, provides joy, wealth, freedom, peace, inspires and helps others, and allows me to provide for my future family. So my why isn't just because I like clothes. Like, you know, it's not just because it's like, oh yeah, it's fun to go shopping. Like, no, it's bigger than that for me. And I think it's important that you figure out that in anything you do that you're passionate about. So yes, Unstuck is we rolling. You know, I've been having, I think so far I've had 3 or 4 clarity calls. I have a few more later this evening. And we're gonna help these people, my mentees, achieve their dreams because it's attainable, guys. Like, you know, it's not like the entertainment industry is over here and we're over here. Like, we can do it. Like, you know. So yes, I'm excited about that.
So I am curious, there's something that you mentioned about kind of the informal space of the industry and how it's not as kind of like ABZ, you know, straight.
Right. Yeah.
Your thoughts? What are your thoughts on kind of formal education and using formal education? Because I know you went to the Art Institute, to helping you in that space. Because I know I've heard from different people, you know, from high school, people who are in like the fashion world, and some people, my friends that are designers, are like, oh, I loved school. School taught me everything I need to know. And then there are people who are in like photography, videography, and they're like, oh, I kind of had to go. So what are your thoughts?
Right. I value school. I do. I value school and I value education. I value the time that I was at AI. And I think that it can be a twofold, specifically in this industry. I think what set me apart is that I am a professional, right? Like I don't come in there just like, what's up, y'all? Like, of course I'm myself and I have personality, but for me, as you mentioned, it's a career. It's not a hobby. So I'm positioning myself to be the go-to, you know, fashion styling business. So I value education. It was extremely helpful for sure. However, in the same breath, I think that a lot of the things that I know, my skill sets, were implanted in me as I was growing up. Like I just believe that school enhanced them, right? And I don't want to deter anyone from going to school. However, I can't say that it is necessary. It's not a requirement in this industry. As if you're a dentist, you go to dental school, it's like you got to learn these things in order to touch my teeth, you know? Like, I don't think that is.
Yes, you
don't
do.
Tell the Instagram
you know, like,
don't tell the Instagram girlies.
I know, right? Like, it's gonna be a whole thing. But they're gonna be like, Autumn said we didn't have to go. Like, but you know, it's like, you know, if you're a lawyer or something of that nature, it's just a different industry. So we pivot differently, right? Again, I value school. I always have. And even for example, like as I mentioned, my mother had a high school diploma. She didn't deter me from going to school, even though she was able to attain the 6-figure plus salary. She didn't say, "Oh, you don't need to go to school." Like they were like, "Do your thing. Like we're here to support you." So I don't think that it's necessary. I think that a lot of the skill sets can be developed elsewhere, right? Because in this industry, they're looking at experience. They're not looking like, "Where's your diploma?" Like they're like, "What have you done?" You know. So I would focus your energy on building your portfolio as a stylist, but I also would encourage you to go to school, like, and make sure that whatever you study is broad enough so that you are not hindered in your career. Like I studied fashion marketing and management, right? So I have both the creative side because I was taking classes like textiles and fabrics, right? But I also was taking marketing. So it's a split for me. Like, and I'm grateful for it because some creatives only have the creative side, right? But I have both. You can be an amazing photographer, but your business, the back end is like unstructured, right?
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for it. My mentor is like, my mom is incredible. She's like number one in my life. Like that's my go-to for everything, for business, for personal. And just those things I'm trying to tell y'all, as a kid, like they created a beast because you telling me I can do anything I put my mind to. Like, that's where I stand now. And I now want to teach other people that you can do it too. Like, you don't have to be unhappy. You can fulfill your dreams. And if you want to feel my passion right now, I don't know what to tell you because it's like I'm so passionate about people. Like you can do it. So we got some big things coming, y'all. I'm ready to disrupt even more than what I've done. So I'm excited. I'm so excited. And yeah.
Very happy for you. Very, very happy.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I have another question. I'm sorry if I
Yeah. No, I'm here. I told y'all, let's do it. I'm here.
So you mentioned that you see social media as a business tool. It's not necessarily just a space to, like chit chat on the internet.
Right.
What do you do different, or what do you think that you do different in comparison to other people on social media that really help build your brand?
That's a great question.
What do I do differently? I think that what really changed the game for me was COVID. That's when I really buckled down and was like, all right, we're going to take this business thing to the next level. And I started investing, right? So I invested in business coaching. I invested in my branding. Like everything that you see that I post is immaculate. And I make sure of that because I have a standard, right, that I hold myself and my team and my brand to. So it's not a matter of being authentic and being or unauthentic and being perfect. But again, when you walk into Neiman's, when you walk into Saks, when you walk into Target, you have a certain expectation of the service, right? So I think for me, COVID changed the game for me because I had a lot of time on my hands to think through. So my launch process was and I'm mentioning the Autumn Naomi brand because we launched November of 2020, right? We began the process February, but we did not launch until November. So I really was digging not only in my heart to be sure that this is something that I wanted to do, but actually doing the work, like figuring out who is it that I want to serve, right? And going through my business coaching, letting it marinate and be thorough and really taking the time to develop the business because a lot of people will just jump out here and it's like you have no plan, you have no strategy, you have no idea who you serve. And so now you launch, but 6 months down the road, we don't even know where you are. Like the Instagram handle is gone. Like what's going on? And the worst thing that you can do is do that because it's harder to reattain an audience than just build the foundation, warm them up, right? You ghost them and then they're like, it's hard to trust you again. So it's just like business is just like a relationship as well. But I think for me, I do things with strategy. Like when I launched, we had a full marketing campaign prior to. I did market research. That's a gem. Ooh, and you know that too, Jaisha, because I remember you reaching out to me. Market research changed the game because it's like you can really get into your consumers' heads. You can really what are their pain points? So all of my marketing is directed around who we serve. And aside from that, I just think this year in particular, because we're on a year-long hiatus. I'm not sure if you guys know, but God told us to sit down in January when I did the Daniel fast. And so I'm doing that, right? And it's hard for me or it has been, but I've changed my posture to I'm waiting to now I'm waiting because I know that I've seen him do miracles, right? So it's like if you just be obedient, Autumn. You just don't know what's on the other side of it. That's why I say we're about to explode. And in my heart, I'm like, okay, day by day, Autumn. Like I say, my new saying is day by day is the way because that's all I can give you, right? That doesn't mean that I don't want to be out here styling my clients, but I do know that I'm on assignment. So the good part to it is I get to do what I love every day still as a shopper, right? In the TV film industry. It's not like I'm working somewhere and I'm just like, I hate this. I'm still very fulfilled in what I do. But strategy is huge for me. Like making sure that anything that I post is in alignment with my social media goals, my social media marketing goals. For example, this year, my goal is impact and visibility, right? Because I know that when we blow, we're gonna blow gracefully. And it's important that we get the brand in front of as many of our ideal clients and consumers as possible so that when we do open our books again, it's unquestionable who to go to about styling, right? It's like, why would I even put myself in a predicament to not be served by Autumn and her team, you know? So I think definitely strategy, and this year in particular, being authentic. Like, you know, I think one point in my journey, I was trying to be perfect. Like I was trying to show up as that like perfect, I got it all put together. But it's like, yeah, no, I don't. Like I'm gonna sit here and tell y'all right now, like life is crazy. Life goes on behind the scenes, and there are certain things that you may want to share, but there are certain things that are behind closed doors, and that's when your community is fighting it with you, right? But I've been through some things this year, right? I'm being completely transparent with y'all. Like, it's wild out here, okay? And just because you are a believer or God has called you to a certain standard doesn't mean that you're exempt. So for me this year, I've been showing up a lot more authentically, and just being myself. Like I know that that always works for me. When I'm somebody else, I don't connect with people. So yeah,
Like
strategy, you know, all of the things.
I love that. When I'm someone else, I don't connect with people. I like that saying.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
That's your bar.
So I think the last thing that, well, I'm not even gonna call it the last thing because who knows? I might ask someone.
I'm here.
So you worked on a Teen Vogue shoot with Ryan Baker. And
Shout out the Nail Doctor.
yes, if you guys have watched, go back and watch our episode, The Nail Doctor. What was that like coming together? Because one, Teen Vogue, that's a big deal. Like it's Vogue at the end of the day. And like coming together, and then I saw you guys had so many, you had your, not only did you have the set, you had a photographer, you had the videographer, you had her and the actual nails because she was snapping on the
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
How was that?
That was amazing. It was so, oh wow, that was amazing. So we did that literally like a month after we launched in 2020. And Ryan and I were introduced through my mom. And like she's done my mom's nails and still is her tech. And it was just wild to me when she reached out because I was actually in LA at the time. I'm trying to tell y'all, when you're obedient to God, it will go crazy. Like it will go crazy. So, you know, after we launched, I had a celebrity client in LA. So I was out there doing that. And Ryan called me and was like, yeah, so Teen Vogue wants to feature me and I need you to style me. And I'm like, well, like, what are you talking about? Like, huh? You know? And so she gave me the details. And of course, again, things happen very quickly. So I'm like, when is the shoot? Like, you know, give me the details, give me the rundown. And, you know, we were able to go through all of that. And then I remember coming back to Atlanta because I did the shopping in Atlanta with my assistant. And then it was just like it happened really quickly. Like it happened quickly, you know. And of course, there were certain stipulations that we had to, or you know, what should I say? Requests. I like to say requests. There were certain requests that Teen Vogue, you know, wanted for her look. So just making sure that that came to life because it was a little bit of like friction, not in a negative way, but as a stylist, of course, I want to create fashion forward statement looks. Like I want you to be that girl in Teen Vogue, right? But I had to also keep in mind that she was being featured for what her gift is, which is nails. And I don't want to overpower my outfits with her. You know, you don't want to do that, right?
Yeah.
So when I say friction, it wasn't negative, but we had to meet somewhere in the middle. Like as far as Ryan is my client, I want her to be happy. Teen Vogue is also featuring her. And then we also want to show up our best as a fashion styling brand, right? So that was something to work through, but we were able to do that. And the shoot was great. there were a lot of like, we did have to do some changes after the fitting. Team Vogue was like, hey, we want to see something a little different. So me and my team were out like literally the next day at 9 o'clock in the morning, making some changes to her look. And they were satisfied. They loved the end result. But it was exciting. It was shocking because I'm like, Team Vogue, huh? Like, and it was just an amazing experience. Ryan is an incredible woman, a friend, businesswoman, and I'm just so grateful to even be considered for that. I'm grateful. So it was dope. It was really dope. If you haven't seen the BTS video, go check it out. Shout out to my team in Rio. We did it. We did that. So I'm grateful.
Was that your very first gig under the Autumn Naomi brand?
No, my first gig under the Autumn Naomi brand, like since we launched in 2020, I want to say it was either my client's gym, who they are event planners in Atlanta. I want to say we did a branding shoot with them first, or I'm not sure if I was styling for Baby at the time. There were a lot of like, I was just booked out. Like we were just booked out. So I can't even say who came first, but I do know that Team Vogue happened literally a month after we launched. So yeah.
So walk, if you don't mind sharing a bit of your creative process. Like, is it mood boards? Is it just you in the store and you're like, I got it. Like, what is
No. There is a plan. We do have structure to the way that we bring the vision to life. So essentially, if you're interested in working with us, you would book a consultation. After the consultation, if we are the fit, emphasis on if we are the fit, because let me just give y'all this quick gem. Everybody is not your client. You don't have to say yes to everything. Like, if they inquire and you talk and you connect and you're ready to make the investment and honestly like have the transformation, then cool, we rocking. But if not, I appreciate you. Thank you for reaching out. Like I want people to be able to understand that. So after you book the consultation and hoping that we are a good fit, we then send over next steps, like all the logistical stuff. So like your service agreement, questionnaire, invoice, making sure that stuff is taken care of. And then we do present a style board based on what you've shared with us on the consultation. And there's an approval process, but it's kind of like not an approval process. It's more so like, hey, this is our vision, let us know what you think. If you have any feedback, we'll keep that in mind as we're shopping. We go and we shop till we drop, literally. And if you don't know Mr. Assistant, he's my cart. Okay, I have a cart that I rode through the
I saw you on like Instagram. You literally you're walking through the mall with a cart.
Yes, like it's a lot, because the thing is, once my hands are full, I can't shop anymore. Once my assistant's hands are full, we can't shop anymore. So Mr. Cart be holding me down. I call him Mr. Assistant. I call him Mr. Assistant. But once we, shop, we have a fitting, and the fitting, it's fun. It's probably one of my favorite parts about it, because we get to play dress up, and I tell my clients to like play imagination, because it's like not the day of the shoot, not the day of the event. We gotta like see hair, makeup, all of that done, but they trust me. And when you can trust your stylist, there's nothing better than that, right? They don't question. They might give me feedback and say, hey, Autumn, I like this, or I don't like this, or this is stepping outside of my comfort zone, but I'm willing to do it. Like that's what I love to hear. So once we have the fitting and we approve the looks, normally at my fitting, I do have a tailor. Her name is Nabila. She's amazing. I design, that ain't my thing. So Nabila be, safety pinning and doing her thing so that they look amazing and it's form fitting. And then once the alterations are done, we show up the day of the shoot, we rock that thing out, we make sure that they look incredible, impeccable, flawless, like so that they don't have to worry about anything but showing up as that entertainer, entrepreneur, or executive on the day of the shoot or the event. And after that, we celebrate, we have a good time, and we finish off the logisticals of it. And we've had quite a few recurring clients. So it's like they come back, it's their family forever. So that's our process.
Thank you for sharing that. I really wanted, if someone was listening to this, they could hear just kind of an outline of the process that they didn't even know. Kind of, how do I start building a business on this? Or how do I start framing out my business? I really wanted someone to do that.
Yeah. Yes. So that's a nutshell of it. Of course, if there are aspiring stylists, or I like to say rising rather than aspiring, because I believe that you are already a stylist. Unstuck will be, opening enrollment in 2023. I'm so sorry that you missed the first cohort, but we will be opening again in 2023. So I would love to, help them on their journey.
Yeah, for sure. Autumn, thank you so much for gracing me with amazing all the knowledge and just warm energy, authenticity. For the people that want to keep up with you, where can they find you at?
Yes, please follow me, connect with me on Instagram at autumn.naomi. Shoot me a DM, shoot me an audio message, like whatever, we can link up. Like, I'm down for whatever. I love people, but definitely that's the best way to stay connected with me on Instagram.
Absolutely.
And we forgot to do her backdrop.
We did forget to do your
backdrop.
So
something we do at the very end of all of our episodes, we love our guests to leave a lasting bit of advice, knowledge, motivation, whatever you're feeling today, to our audience, anything that's on your heart, your spirit, your mind, your soul. What do you want to leave them?
A backdrop. Oh Lord. Okay. That's good. There's always 70,000 tabs open in my brain. So let's see which one we're gonna pull from. I think what I would like to leave, the audience and the viewers with is, number one, to trust God in everything that you do. Like, I think that I'm a part of the wave to represent God to people, right? Like, you can love God and be fly. Like, you can love God and make mistakes. Like, it's not a perfect life that he's looking for, right? So trust God in everything that you do. To build community, for sure, that you have that backbone, so that when life is hitting you, you don't have to go through it by yourself. And to always remember why you start. Like, if there's nothing else, when you remember why you start something, when those days come, it's like, I can fight this battle. I can push through and I can get through. So trust God, build community. And when you think about stopping, remember why you started.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's what you were saying. Ian, where can they find you on socials?
Y'all can find me on all the socials at Ian A. Barrett, 2R, 2 T's, or underscore at the end. Jace, where can people find you?
You guys can find me on all social medias at Jasia Robinson, JSIA, spelled and pronounced that way at the same time. And then you can find our podcast at Beat the Maze Podcast on all social media platforms. Guys, make sure you subscribe, you follow us on Instagram, and you stay tuned to our episodes. We drop every Monday at 8 a.m. And we're bringing, we just come with the hits. Everyone just you see, I'll be like
we learning like y'all learning.
Yes. Autumn, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. This is beautiful.
You guys are so welcome. I'm looking forward to linking with you guys real soon.
Yes.
No problem. For the audience, we'll catch y'all at 8 a.m. Have a good one.
Bye.